Question. Do you ever get confused about what to do in business when you're building, growing your life? You have a goal, you have goals that you want to reach. Do you ever feel like you are not sure which direction to go in? You're not sure where to go, you're not sure what to do, and there's so many rules. You want to make sure that you follow the rules. You don't want to get it wrong. You don't want to make mistakes. You don't want to get embarrassed. You don't want to get hurt. You don't want to do the wrong thing. I know what that feels like. Here's the deal, is getting confused is actually having your energy focused in the wrong place. You're so focused on what you don't know that you're missing what's already around you, because that's where you're putting your energy. Now, before you shut this off because you think this sounds like every other video that I've ever done, it's not. I want to explain to you what I mean by this. You see, I say this often. I say, don't just do something because they said to do it. Make choices for yourself. But at the end of the day, there's also rules. There's even regulations. There's legal stuff that you have to be aware of. There's ways to do stuff that works, and then there's ways that don't work. And so here's what the best thing to do is when you get confused. Do what you know works. Don't do anything illegal, obviously. It's a no-brainer. Anything that I say comes from that place. Follow those rules and don't bring harm to anybody. Have kindness, have love in what you're doing. And then now we can look at what don't we know. From here, if you don't know how to do something, figure out what you do know, do that. If you're avoiding doing what you do know works because you're confused and you don't know what to do, you've actually already failed by not doing anything. And so the first step is do what you know works. Do what you know is right. And then in all those areas that you are confused and don't know, ask questions and try things and experiment. You see, a lot of times people are afraid to do this because they are like, what could possibly go wrong? And that's what I want to ask you. You probably might have come up with 100 different scenarios about what you don't know how to do, how it could go wrong. But have you actually done the first steps that you know are right? If you haven't yet, you're spending so much of your energy and focus on what you are worried of what might possibly happen that you're avoiding actually spending your energy discovering what works. Here's what I found has happened in my life, especially in my business, is when I start to take action, I'm probably very confused sometimes about what to do. I might not have a clear path, but I know what works, and I know what is at least the right thing to do as the next step. And if I spend so much time worrying about once I get to that next step, what's going to happen, I actually limit the effectiveness of getting to that next step. And so you have to actually get there and then approach what you don't know when you get there. You see, a lot of times people overplan themselves for what hasn't even happened yet without ever moving forward to that place to even decide that. And they stay stuck where they are and wonder why they've been on a hamster wheel for 5 to 10 years. Well, it's because you have talked yourself out of even taking the first step for that long. And so you actually, there's a process that can't be avoided, can't be skipped. You can't pre-plan for step number 2 and 3 that you don't know without getting to step 1. And here's the other thing that I promise you. I'm going to promise you something here. Once you do what you know to do that's right, you will have more clarity on what the step after that is. I'm going to say that again. If you know what to do as the first step, that's right, but you don't know what step 2, 3, and 4 are, as soon as you get to that next step, you will have clarity on what that thing that you are confused about is. And some of you may not have ever experienced that in your life. And you don't have faith to even do that first step because you're worried about what comes next. And so you hold yourself back where you are right now because of that fear and that energy. And here's what happens is we can only process so much information in our mind. Our mind is a powerful place. But when we're focused so much on steps 2, 3, and 4, when we haven't even done step 1 and step 2 yet, and step in between step 1 and 2, we actually lose the effectiveness of even doing step 1. And when you remove having to do step 1 and the in between of step 1 and 2 from your planning, and that's no longer in your thought process, now you can focus all of your energy on step 2 instead of just a small fraction of your energy. See, right now, when you're trying to pre-plan all the steps ahead, 35 steps ahead, 25 steps ahead, I don't want to say this. My wife always says this. She says, I go to level 25, level 100 on things when I haven't even done step 1 yet. This is something that I often do when I'm planning things. But I have to stay faithful to step 1, step 2. What is your step 1? Find your step 1. Do you know what your step 1 is? If you don't know what your step 1 is, it is probably because you have been spending so much energy focusing on step 2, 3, and 4. You see? So break it down to the lowest common denominator. What is step 1? It's simple. I can't make it any more simple than that. And yet, even right now, some people are going to watch this video and feel either overwhelmed or feel like step 1 is still impossible and too hard for them. And that's because of past experience, maybe trauma, maybe stuff happened to you in the past, maybe you're avoiding things, but you know where you're going in your dream and your destiny, and you're trying to not do step 1 and get to step 2, 3, and 4 without ever doing step 1. Because last time you tried step 1, it didn't work out. I'm here to say this. Either you have to decide that you actually don't want 2, 3, and 4. You don't want that destiny, and you're going to go a different path, or you have to do step 1. You have to face the fear and the pain and come face to face with grips of what you're terrified of and confront it. You see, it only has power over you unless you give it power. Those fears, those feelings, those events that happened only have power over you because you have handed over the authority of your life and your choices to that past experience in your present reality. That's it. And so you have to ask yourself, what's the truth about my scenario right now? What am I believing will happen? Why am I believing that? Is that really rational? And then go ahead and decide what the truth is and do that thing that you fear the most. Do the thing that you are afraid of doing. People say your breakthrough is on the other side of your fear, but they're always trying to find a way to teleport themselves past their fear. Or that if their fear disappeared, whatever they're afraid of disappeared, that everything would be perfect for them. When the fact is that very thing that you're afraid of is very, very, very likely never going to disappear. But the power that it has over you can be removed. And you can empower yourself above that. And when you do that, when you come from a place of not defense and protecting yourself and more offense and going after your goals and saying, listen, I'm not going to let that have power over me and I'm going to go forward, might make some mistakes, but I have a destiny that I'm going after, you'll actually start to think and process and problem solve much better than being in that confused state of trying to get past where you are right now. Just by breaking it down to that next step and moving forward. And that breaks confusion. So try it this week. Let me know your comments below. I know a lot of you have gone through different things, been through different stuff. I want to know. Join the hashtag Grow Your Life community on Facebook and share this video with some people if it's impacted you. Grow your life, everybody, and we'll talk soon.